Good morning, Drakars. Are you ready to slay some demons? Then climb aboard the Dragonship. Let's do this!
What's up, RP Thor? I wish you were here, man. We wish you were here, but thanks for the wonderful message. We love you. Thanks for supporting the fellowship. You the fucking man.
Through the white thunderstorms, we ride on the back of our truckers in a fearless stride. Sons of gold, hearts made of fire, conquering lands, fueling our desire. Roaring engines and lightning in our eyes, united we stand. Strength won't compromise from the east to the west. We sail and we roll. Beneath open skies, the promised land where our spirits arise. We battle the storms and tides of the sea. Now we've arrived in the land we're meant to be.
Good morning, Drakars. Today is a fantastic day, this Memorial Day, where we remember in the United States the fallen, those who gave their lives for our freedoms. We thank you. But there's a different battle going on. Sometimes it's a battle in our hearts and in our minds. And sometimes that battle involves demons. Now, these demons, they're not necessarily literal, but they can be. A literal demon is a malicious entity or force that seeks to destroy your mind and crush your heart and soul and mar your body for its own perverse delight. But then there's metaphorical demons, negative mindsets or thoughts created by yourself or others that intentionally or indirectly destroy your mind to drag you into a psychological hell with a population of one, you. So today, we're going to talk about things like that. We're going to talk about demonic ideas, demonic thoughts, and how we fight them and conquer them so that we can be better men. And so today I have the Dragonship here with me. First, Thor, God amongst men. Good morning, Thor.
Good morning, and it's great to be aboard the Dragonship for sure. Look at these men all pulling on the same oars, raising the tide for all of you out there. Thank you. Let's have a great show today. Talk about demons. Holy moly, what would life be like if we weren't swinging our hammer every day at those demons?
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Outstanding, man. Outstanding. How are you doing?
I'm enjoying my 3-day weekend.
Me too. So this morning I had to miss Rule 0 because I had to spray my yard for weeds, and it's going to rain this afternoon. And if I spend all morning streaming like I normally do every Saturday morning, then I can't get any real work done before the rain starts. So I was like, okay, I have to give up one of these shows. So I gave up Rule 0, went and sprayed the yard. After Dragonship, I'm going to go to a rodeo tonight.
Nice.
So,
That's
yeah.
fantastic. Not as exciting as being in Valhalla Studios like last week.
Right. Not quite as fun as axe throwing with the God amongst men. But
You did good.
Thank you, Thor.
Your
Yeah.
Instagram was pretty good. So
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Paul prefers Dragonship to Rule 0.
anyway,
AJ.
Some days I do.
AJ, good morning.
Oh, good morning, good afternoon. It's almost 1 o'clock here in DFW. I unfortunately do not have a 3-day weekend. I am working this weekend to keep the internet on because it never shuts down.
we need you. Double time.
And Hudsman, Viking Paradigm, good morning, you savage ginger son of a bitch.
Good morning.
That was
I think I called Viking Paradigm Huds for a second. I meant Tarl.
You did.
My bad.
You got me confused there. If we
Yeah.
were the same person.
Anyway,
that's why I just
Huds.
slightly said good morning.
Huds, fantastic thumbnail. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. You gave me the idea, and then I went to work, and I think it came out perfectly for what we're talking about. Demons, man. We all got them. We've got the internal demons. We've got demons, other people around us trying to pull us down. And how do you handle that? So I think this is a great topic, great show idea. Let's dive into it.
All right.
Hey, Huds, I got to stop right now and tell you did such a good job with the thumbnail, but you have been for a while. Part of what the Dragonship's all about is that teamwork. That's why we say we're a rising tide. And a lot of us on the panel, we don't agree and lick each other's balls about all of these topics. We actually don't. But we're grown men, and we don't bring those. None of them ever turn into beefs. But we still get hit with the beef demon. And we know that's a big one out there right now, is the beef demon. So we do have to deal with it, not only occasionally within our group, but occasionally outside of the group. But I've seen nothing but professionalism with all the guys on this panel. I mean, really refrain from any of that demon, the gossip demon, the beef demon, all that stuff. And everybody pulls together a couple days before every Saturday and discusses ideas. It is such a pleasure, having been on many panel shows that are basically show up and improv, and then people get a little bit miffed. No, that doesn't happen here. So Huds, good job. Rest of the team, fantastic to be here. Sorry to take up so much time, but I wanted to recognize Huds.
Absolutely. Well,
Appreciate
since
it.
it's not the 8-minute mark and we're already licking balls, so
Oh, shit. Basketballs.
if you wish to super chat today, we appreciate it. It helps support the show since we can't help ourselves. We can't even go 8 minutes.
Well,
just
that-
like my
it-
father.
That was me.
It's a
but-
problem when we open the show with a clip where the guy says, "You're fucking awesome." In the
Yeah,
first
that's always a problem.
first 3 seconds of it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, a famous guy too. So we should probably be careful.
Wraith, good morning, sir. You look like you're ready to hop on a John Deere.
Just thankful that Hud can actually grow facial hair these days.
That was a good one.
Not me. What?
Oh, I know it.
Huds.
Who's doing cameras? Oh,
All of us, apparently.
Yeah,
That's
it's
okay.
looking good, Huds. Looking good.
Thanks.
And last but not least, our resident Lego expert, Jack Napier.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
We're
Hope
doing
everybody's
great. Do you have now I know in England they have like a Memorial Day where they wear the poppy. Is there something similar in where you are?
Yes, ours is May the 4th and May the 5th. So on May the 4th, we have the 2 minutes of silence for those who gave their lives during the liberation of the Netherlands and those who passed away during the Second World War. And then we have May the 5th, which is our Liberation Day, where we got freed by the Allies from the Germans in 1945. So that's kind of what we got. But we don't. And then we've got King's Day, which is like the national birthday of the king. But that's kind of it.
So over there, do you like close things and actually have a public holiday where like the banks close and
Funnily
everything?
enough, through the years, stores are staying open more and more, even during Christmas. It's so odd. It's so odd. Like grocery stores are almost open every day these days.
Following the American model, are you?
Yeah, there's like no holidays anymore.
Hmm.
So weird. So
The world
weird.
never sleeps.
Oh, but it used to be like Sunday, everything was closed and shit like that, holidays. But these days, it's like nope. So odd. So very, very odd.
Still like that here in out here in the Delta, Colorado area. You know, the sidewalks roll up at 8 o'clock, and on Sundays everything's closed for Jesus. And people, they have weird hours out here where you're never sure when when a store's open because they close like randomly on a Wednesday or something. It's like you never know what's going on here.
Is that an advantage or a disadvantage? What do you think?
There's definitely two Americas. There's rural America
Oh yeah.
City life.
Yeah, there's pros and cons.
I don't know,
to it.
man. Down here, people still close stuff on Sundays because it's the Bible Belt.
Yeah, didn't they make a movie about that? Just came out, Civil War, Two Sides of America.
Yeah, I watched it last night.
I don't know anything about it.
I like the convenience of like 24/7 everything, but and that's because I'm also a night owl. So sometimes I'll just get the hankering to go do something at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I was beat and I had to go lay down, and you guys went and clubbed.
Yeah, we went to a club because we don't have clubs out
Made
here.
me feel old.
Well, speaking of doing things in the middle of the night, let's talk about slaying some demons, shall we?
Yeah, did we get everybody introduced? I think we did, except
We did.
yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks, Mike. Hey, just real quick, acknowledge the chat, guys. Super chats, super thanks, all those things. I really appreciate it. We're broadcasting our pirate signal to all of our channels right now, except Jack. He's I don't want to, but that's okay. Send him a super thanks too on his channel. It really helps us keep the demons at bay. And there's some amazing comments right now I'd like to see. We'll maybe talk about them later. Thank you.
So, guys, this kind of came out of nowhere. It was right before we did the 100th anniversary episode. Something actually happened online that inspired me to talk about this. And I was watching, for those of you who may not know, there's another channel that's a kind of a partner to Tim Pool, and they're called Pop Culture Crisis. And I was watching a video about them. The video was entitled, Gen Z Thinks Wokeness is for Ugly People. But there was a comment made in the show that prompted me to put a comment below their video, and then the comments that I received in reply to my comment, that's what inspired all this. So for context, it's only going to be about 15 seconds. We're going to show what prompted my comment so that we all have context here.
Discuss about this.
So we're going to advance it here. And then the guy on the right, that's who's going to be saying what I responded to. So here we go.
Like, I know that there are financial issues that are going on, but I don't think that financial issues actually have a direct effect on overall happiness. Studies seem to say that money doesn't really make people happy. If you don't have money, it can add a stressor, but it's not something that's going to make you happy and satisfied. And young people today, it doesn't seem to me that the people that at least that are regularly on the internet and you know, making a lot of TikToks and stuff like that, they don't seem to be motivated just by money.
All right. So that's it for the clip.
Okay. Yeah, it's Phil Blobronte. He's I want to say
All that remains lead singer.
Yeah, he's a famous guy.
However, I disagree with him.
Tell me.
Money absolutely can make you happy. And so I commented below the video here. And so now I will share my web browser because that's just easier. And I will zoom in on it. Whoops. Sorry about that. As someone who has gone from 20,000 a year to 100,000 a year, I can tell you that money absolutely can make you happy if managed properly. Now, we did have one guy here who echoed my sentiment. Exactly. Of course, having a decent amount of money makes life easier, and 100,000 hardly puts anyone into the rich category. He's right about that, by the way. But the fact that you're managing it properly indicates that you don't let money rule, but the other way around. And that's the recipe for success. Good on you. And I said, exactly. This is the correct attitude. Always be improving, leveling up. Do not give in to any doomer mindset. What doomer mindset? These two comments above here. Here comes the demonic thought. You only have more to lose. You can't eat money. If shit hits the fan, we're past the 8-minute mark. If shit hits the fan, you're going to be fighting for water along with the rest of us. If anything, having money makes you more of a target. Best not to brag. And then this other one here. Bro thinks he's gonna get a place in a bunker if some world-ending catastrophe comes.
I got some
They're
comments about
interweaving
this.
a lot.
I got some comments about this. One, money doesn't buy happiness, but it can buy you a boat.
Yep.
And it can buy you a truck to pull it. There's a whole song about that. And then two, man, I grew up with my dad feeding me the mindset that we were going to go into Armageddon at any time, right? I spent my entire life preparing for the end of the world. And I am a prepper. I have like all the storable food. I have all the ammo. I've got all that fun stuff just in case. And what I've learned over the years, right, is, man, I bet every little thing that happens in the world, all the doomsday preppers are like, this is it. This is the big one that this is finally Civil War time. Like every election cycle, this is it. America's going into Civil War, and it never fucking happens. It never happens. But you know what does happen is stuff like forest fires, right? I lived in California for a long time. The entire time I lived there, we had 2 major forest fires that completely shut down San Diego and like the whole entire city, the surrounding city and stuff like that. We had a major power outage in 2011 that shut down all of Southern California. Like that kind of stuff really does happen. And usually it's, it's only lasts like a couple of days, as like something that's real serious. And so it is kind of good to have storable food on hand. It's good to have, like extra lanterns around in case the power goes out, so you can, have light and stuff like that when the sun goes down. That kind of stuff's good to have, like in general. But you can't spend your whole life worrying about Armageddon. That's probably not going to happen, and just sitting there worrying about what might happen in the future. All it does is creates anxiety in you, and it doesn't help you out. That actually causes tension in your body, that causes disease and stuff like that. So you got to let that kind of stuff go, man. You got to let that stuff go.
Paul, I knew you were going to have something mindset related to say about this. And before we get to the rest of the panel, I am going to give these 2 people my 2 cents first, because it's my show today, damn it.
Please do. Take the helm.
All right. You only have more to lose. Well, we all have our lives to lose. So, I mean, that kind of comment is just kind of meh. You can't eat money. You dumb bitch. Money buys food. Where the hell have you been? Like, more money buys more food, and more money buys higher quality food. I don't want to have a bunch of plastic in my testicles, so I'm going to buy bottled water in glass bottles. You can't eat money. That's some of the dumbest crap I've ever heard in my entire life.
You can eat money, though. They're not like, you can eat it. You guys ever ate $1? Come on.
It's organic.
It's called a penny when I was 4. So yeah,
it's called gold flakes on my Gordon Ramsay burger.
Gold is actually a useful, if it's micronized, it's actually a mineral you can use for nerve conductivity. It's a fact.
There's actual gold flakes in Goldschlager. So
the only drink I would ever have at Christmas.
But let's continue here. If shit hits the fan, you're going to be fighting for water along with the rest of us. Yeah, but then it's not going to matter for anyone. The poor people are screwed. The rich people are screwed. If it gets really down bad, everyone is screwed if the world ends. So you telling me this, what purpose does that serve? We'll get to that. If anything, money makes you more of a target, so best not to brag. Okay, so firstly, I was not talking about and Paul, I think, is the only one here who knows exactly how much I make. I rounded. But the point is, I was, in my early 20s, making $20,000 a year. Guys, $20,000 a year is not fun. It is not. If you've ever been there, it is not fun. It's miserable. I was dropping my point to counter what he had said in the video, saying that money doesn't make you happy. No, it absolutely does. So I disagree with that guy. That's why I said what I said. I'm not bragging. 6 figures isn't shit anymore. 6 figures in 1975, yeah, you were the big baller. You were the king. Not anymore because of inflation, a bunch of other crap. So,
Mike.
Yes.
I think that I can push back on you and Phil a little bit together in
Okay.
the terms of definition of money, happiness, and why this becomes such a hot topic of debate. Really, money is a tool. So it can't
is.
make you happy and can't make you sad. It can be used as a tool for good and for bad. What I think's happening, even Phil does this primarily, is he confuses happiness because most people don't understand. Happiness is that proximate goal that's very temporary. Guess what? Fulfillment is that long-term goal. Money does not buy you fulfillment. That would be a fair statement. Would you not all agree?
But Thor, I am happier now than I was when I was making $20,000 a year.
Because the tool is offering you basic needs that you can have met without worry. It's taking your worry away. And are you mistaking
agree.
that for happiness? Because
Stress levels are down.
exactly. And so
Well,
you're
that's
actually
because,
living
like,
a more fulfilled life at this point. And that's fantastic. I think as a tool, you can buy happiness, but here's the risk. And this is where I'm going to tell you and everybody else with happiness and money. Money is basically a tool that buys you external validation. Even if it's just buying you food, it's external validation. Now, I've talked about this before. A lot of people are really hooked on external validation, be it money, be it girls, be it their thought process. They got to get something from the outside in to make them feel happy, even if it's just for a moment. This is how drugs work too. But what they're missing is that self-validation. Instead of that external validation, it's that self-validation. I'll use Cappy as a good example. He lives frugally and he's still very fulfilled with life. Even though he plays an angry boomer online, in real life, it's not quite the same. And he understands how to validate himself. Even if he has no money, he can do that. Now, that's not necessarily true. His basic needs are met. So when it comes to money, it's kind of one of those things where once your basic needs are met, you now have a lot of opportunity to bring fulfillment and create some happiness or self-validation in your life. And I won't argue with you that money can actually buy that temporarily. Absolutely. It can buy you the food you need. It can buy you the relief from the stress you felt when you didn't have it. But I'll tell you this, there's a lot of people that don't have a conscience and they don't care about anybody else. It doesn't matter how much money they have. They're never going to achieve what you have, Mike, ever. They can have thousands and thousands of dollars. And what do? They just go from this validation to that validation. I'll buy this, I'll buy that. Look at me online. Look what I have. Look at the lifestyle I'm living. I will fake an entire lifestyle just to get somebody to say, wow, good job, dude. Money can definitely buy you those things. How do they fulfill you? So I come at it from the argument that money is quite useful as a tool and it should be mandatory. That's why we talk about self-improvement. We talk about what? Money, muscles, game, frame. I mean, look where we put it. It's right up there.
Exactly.
Without money, your survival is not met, which is one of our primary drives, right? And if you don't meet that, you don't even qualify for the next part, which is, procreation. If you don't have it, you're not going to qualify because the gals won't let you pass due to Bertholdt's law. So money's important, and I agree with you, but I also kind of agree with Phil a little bit if he just changes his terminology. Money in and of itself.
To go off of both what Thor's saying, what Mike's saying, and even what Phil Labonte is saying, because I just started actually reading Bachelor Pad Economics. A good way to think of money, and I think it's who was it? Miguel kind of brought it up to me, where it's just an amplifier. And Cappy brings it down even further, where money is just a trade of your time. So the more money you make, the less time you spend making that money, I can see it freeing you up and making you a little less stressed and making you a lot happier or a lot more content in the end.
Bingo.
Well,
It's like I did a whole series on the science of getting rich. I don't know if you guys have read that book. It's a really good book. It's a old school law of attraction book. Came out around the turn of the century.
I read it out loud.
Yeah. So the science of getting rich is really good. But one of the things that Wallace D. Wattles, the guy who wrote it, he asserts is that really kind of like what Thor was saying, money is a tool. And it gives us the ability to better experience life. But you can go like what another thing that Thor said, right? Be like what Cappy does and live minimalistically and live below your means. That doesn't mean that Cappy doesn't have money and he doesn't have enough money to go out and do other things. But the reason why he has more money to go out and do the things that he wants to do is because he doesn't spend it on stuff he doesn't need.
Yeah.
You know,
Dumb shit. Now,
so as long as you're good with your money, like you can live the lifestyle you want. So
You go to my Facebook page, I wrote an essay on happiness. Happiness is only a prelude to the next challenge. Okay, you can't be in a constant state of happiness because it's giddy, you know. And what your success brings self-satisfaction, and self-satisfaction is what you confuse is with happiness. That self-satisfaction gives you that boost of, you know, chemicals that may say, "Hey, this is a great day," but it's temporary. You can't maintain it for, you know, long periods of time because you're going to set up challenges, and life's going to set up challenges for you so that you can go through the process again. Because we're in a constant state of learning, constant state of change, constant state of flux, and we need the happiness to get us to the next stage.
Yeah.
And it gives us something to look forward to for the next stage in life.
And
Well,
unhappiness
so-
to give us that boot in the butt, right?
Right.
so all everyone is making great points, but I do want to go back to the topic at hand, and that is when people or external forces attempt to destroy you. So I want to wrap up here with these comments and demonstrating what these people are trying to do to me, and then we'll go around and talk about how welcome Nuke, by the way, other kinds of demons that try to tear you apart. So the final comment that was here is bro thinks he's gonna get a place in a bunker if some world-ending catastrophe comes. No, I never said that. No, I don't even think that, because if a world-ending catastrophe comes, there's only going to be like a couple thousand people in a bunker. You know, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, and all those losers. They're the ones going to be in the bunker. We're all screwed. But I don't live my life thinking about that. So the point here is that, so look at these two comments. These are demonic thoughts. These are demonic mindsets. These people. Now, I don't mean a literal demon. I don't mean a literal demon sitting at a keyboard talking to me through YouTube. I mean a demonic thought where the person was determined either through themselves or through a demonic force to attempt to get me to curl up into the fetal position, have a panic attack, and give up on life from their comment. It's also another name for this could be called the black pill. And so that's what gave me the idea for this episode. Like, here I am knowing I'm not out here trying to become a billionaire, the next Elon Musk or anything like that. I'm just trying to buy a house and start a family. Pretty straightforward, right? Well, here come these people attempting to just crush and blacken and poison my mind with their mindset. Like, these people have clearly given up on life and they want to spread it. That's the other thing about demonic thoughts and mindsets. It spreads and it seeks to propagate itself through others. And so the way I fight back against this particular demonstration of demonic thoughts and mindsets is not only just like what we're doing here today, where I completely debunk everything they say, but also just like, you know what? Fuck you. You want to keep renting? Fine. You rent. I'll own the house you rent, and you pay me rent. I'm going to continue on to my life with the mindset to become a winner. You want to wallow in this blackness, in this depression, in this personal hell that you've apparently built for yourself, that you want to drag me into so that you don't have to be alone? Nah. I'm good. You go right ahead.
I like that. I have a sound drop for that. Let's see if I got it.
I'm saying what I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil.
Elon Musk.
Okay.
I love that comment. He goes, "Fuck them." Okay. Is that what you're getting out there, Mike?
Basically, yeah. Like you will not penetrate my walls, of the walls of my mind, and infest me with your demonic thinking.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I call it the crab in the barrel mentality. They think they need to pull you down to try to get up, and they don't even want to get up. They're just grabbing at whatever they can and just basically trying to keep everybody down rather than climbing the fuck out of the barrel and living.
Well, there is clout and money to be made by climbing those crabs.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Misery loves company. So people always are going to pull themselves back down. But, going off of, what you said, Thor, is that I tell guys all the time, I use this analogy. Money is like a hammer. It's a tool, right? And you can either use it well and build a house, which is your life, or you can fuck it up and miss the nail, rather than hit the nail on the head, smash your thumb, right? And that's what a lot of people do is that, they got shitty tools and then they're using them in a shitty way. Poor tool, poor methodology. More money is just better tool, right? Better hammer, better drill, right? That's all more money is, right? And if you don't know how to use a hammer right, yeah, you're going to tell a guy trying to swing a hammer correctly, like, trying to get better at it, like, oh, you're wasting your time. I don't need a hammer, right? I already got a house built. I already got a life, right? And they're happy where they are. They're content, right? So they feed into these
so
self-limiting
happy to
beliefs.
get my new hammers, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So
they have those self-limiting beliefs, and that's the demon that we're talking about here is what variety of self-limiting belief do you believe in?
You're always going to be under assault from the day you start any social interaction, and even possibly from your parents. How many stories have we heard about kids growing up? It's like, I was never good enough because my dad always said I was a dumb shit. I mean, we've heard stories like that, right? And that's where we bolster ourselves, and we don't do that to others. That's part of the rising tide, right? Is not to propagate. And the funny thing is, you guys said, about some of the people that make comments like that. What compelled them to make those comments in the first place?
I
Think
think
about that
that
for a minute before you absorb it, because it can really draw you in. This stuff is intended to draw you in. And every time you say something, your subconscious mind has no delineation. Wraith can talk this. There's no delineation between reality and projected reality and what actually is out there. It doesn't draw a distinction. So it's always sitting there in the back of the mind. Am I not good enough? Am I a piece of shit? Maybe money doesn't make me happy. Maybe it does make me happy. There is no firewall to the human mind and brain. There is no firewall. You're your own shopkeeper.
Absolutely. One thing I want to point out on it, and you were kind of touching on it for a second there, Thor, is why are these people doing it? I think a lot of times is they hate themselves, and a way for them to relieve that stress is to push that internal pain onto others. That's why people troll online. That's why they try and bring others down, because they hate their own lives.
Say that again. Say that again about trolling.
Yeah, essentially, when people like troll online, a lot of times it's because they hate themselves, and when they hate themselves, a way for them to kind of release some of that dark internal energy is to go out and troll and to attack other people and try and bring other people down, because they internally hate themselves.
Yeah, I do think a lot of it's also mindset, and mindset is contagious. I really believe that. You can look at it now. Just look at 2 years ago where panel shows were going. Now they're at each other's throats with this, combative or interaction. Combative communication is what I've labeled it, But yeah, there's a huge difference just between 2 years ago. So yeah, whatever is socially popular definitely affects this whole mindset about, oh, I have to react because I am being me, and being me is to express every little stinking thought, no matter how harmful to everybody around me, when it actually harms themselves.
Yeah, they're comfortably miserable, right?
That's
what a lot of people are comfortably miserable these days. I know, I used to be one of them, right? I had my basic needs taken care of, and so I didn't really have any motivation to do anything more with my life.
Well, one of the things I've learned in NLP, in studying NLP, is that we naturally, as humans, and everybody's affected by this, but we have a negativity bias. Our minds naturally want to spiral downwards in a negative pattern, and so it has to be a conscious choice to kind of stop that in its tracks and not allow that to happen. But a lot of people just go with the flow because it just feels better. Oh, it feels better to feel bad, you know?
Well, it's
But
easier.
it gives you a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Paul,
If
you bring up a good point on people's mistranslation of Nietzsche's abyss quote right there. A lot of people just stop at the abyss, and it's not saying that, hey, you must stop and stare at it and have it stare back at you and become part of it. No, go ahead and fight it. That's where a lot of people mistranslate Nietzsche on that.
What's the
Well,
quote?
I mean, we break our lives up in, you know, for the most part, people break their lives up into tribalism, and it's the tribalism of, you know, politics, the tribalism of Gen Z against, you know, the baby boomers and exit. So, in order to have that sense of belonging and feel like you're a part of something, you've got to adapt those memes.
Good point.
All right.
So how do you guard against that, Wraith?
Well, I mean, it's basically, you know, looking at, you know, what, and we're talking a little bit of NLP here and psychology. That comes from presuppositional phrasings that you've been exposed to, and how you change those presuppositional phrases is the inner work that you have to do with your own thoughts and say that doesn't have to be me. I can be this, okay, and I can be accepting of this and that. But, you know, we're conditioned every day. If you watch the TV, we're conditioned every day to accept things and believe things. And it's like mind control or brainwashing. Those presuppositional phrases are throwing at us all the time so that we can accept something that we wouldn't accept normally. So when you sit there and you say, you know, take the generation now, America's screwed up because of the past generations. All right. And that's what they're being told all the time. Or America's screwed up because of one party or the other party. If you get fed that enough, you start believing it and you start exhibiting it.
Oh, that's true. And that's not actually what's happened. Yeah. That is
Yeah,
true.
it's that negative cognitive bias, right, comes down to calorie use, right? It takes calories to solve problems, right? So it's not so much a negative bias, it's a survival bias, right? Paying attention to the bad things rather than the good things.
Agreed.
Right? It's easy to pay attention to the good things, right? You know, you find honey in nature, right? That's some good shit, right? Now, remembering that the bees are going to sting your ass if you raid the nest, right? That's going to stand out more in your mind than anything, right? And that's where a lot of humans will cower in fear. They won't figure out a way, oh, I could use smoke to clear the nest and get the bees away from it because they're going to run from the smoke, and then I can get the honey, right? That takes cognitive effort. So humans are naturally lazy because they don't want to. Your brain uses like 20% of your daily calories, right? It takes physical effort to think, and most people are just too lazy to engage their brain, right? It's easy to be comfortable once your basic needs are met. That's why most people don't find this space until they're uncomfortable to the point of an extreme, like getting, you know, shit on by a woman, you know, divorce or something like that. Whatever the case may be, like in my case, becoming obese and having problems in my relationship all the time, not understanding money because I was raised to be, you know, survival biased, to be prepping for the end of the world, and not so money wasn't going to be needed, right? So I didn't know shit about money. And as I said last time, that's why I found this space, because I started looking up like how to actually become a millionaire the right way, rather than these get rich quick schemes that my dad was always into that never fucking panned out. So that's the key thing. If you do not engage your brain, you are going to revert back to your animalistic survival nature. And if your basic needs are met, you're going to see all of this other stuff, making more money, having better relationships. It's too much effort. It's not needed in your hindbrain, in your subconscious. It's an unnecessary stressor and calorie expenditure. But in today's day and age, we have the calories to expend. Engage your brain and be better. That's what I tell guys all the time.
It's too seductive, though. I mean, I've actually seen that in real life when we're talking about demons, with multiple people too. They'll be in a spot where they're down low, and basically they look at social media and all this stuff, and I can do this and I can do that. They're very confident in that stuff, but the reality is they're in a spot with money, since we're talking about money as being a demon, where they haven't done good management. And then they find themselves in a mediocre job, but the mediocre job is actually not. They go to work at one of whatever, big box, and they're in charge of an aisle of whatever. If they worked hard, showed up early, and stayed late and volunteered for everything that was there, they'd probably promote within a month or two. But no, I've seen this multiple times. That's not the case. It's that I get just enough money to get by, and then I don't show up early. I don't stay late. I do the bare minimum because I'm getting my fulfillment somewhere else. I'm being told I'm too good. I should do this. I should do that. Instead of just putting their nose to the grindstone and doing the best that they can do and showing that their merit actually is going to buy them a promotion. Now you're in charge of the aisle. Then you're in charge of the department. This can happen very quickly. And I watch it happen very quickly with a few clients that just put everything into building their money back up. And one of the ways to do it is hard. It's not easy. And that's to set some of your ego aside and sweep the floor that nobody else has swept.
That's
Even
literally
if
what's
you
happening
don't
to
get
me right
any
now, Thor.
recognition. Huh?
That's literally what's happening with me right now. I have an interview in a couple weeks for a promotion. I've only been on this job for 14 months.
You don't have to be famous to get that. You don't have to be a luxury brand. And I feel a lot of guys that I've counseled lately are like that. And your money's still not right. You got to secure that. Then you have the option. I bet you a lot of influencers that are dependent on this YouTube money fall into that category because they get money for doing what? Talking on YouTube. And as soon as anything changes from that, I've seen a couple of clips where they really freak out. That has become their job, and they really elevated that. And so in some ways, that seems to be a demon that's out there too, the lure of being a famous influencer.
Yeah, too many people don't understand that, the amount of input controls the amount of output.
Yeah.
I do coaching for career change too. And that's one of the first things I ask people, what's wrong with your job now? Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's always my employer isn't doing this for me. Okay. I said, well, why don't you go into work on Monday and evaluate what you do for your employer?
Yep.
And if they come back and they say, I'm overvalued, and I've yet to have one of them come in and say, hey, I'm overvalued.
Well, they can't do that. Yeah. And I think that happens in this space too, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. That is a demon that if you can fight that off and you can swallow your pride long enough to really do that for a few months, you would see your finances, your money become that tool that we all talk about. Mike, you've actually done this yourself.
Yes, sir.
Look where you're at now. You followed those principles. And I think now you have the opportunity to use that money as a tool. It certainly feels so good that it's eliminated your worries. It's definitely happiness. I mean, it definitely contributes to your approximate goals, I'm sure.
We live in a world where we're telling people you only have to do this much and you're gonna be rewarded this much.
That is true.
And it's we're constantly telling them that. Go to college, you're gonna get a good job. Well, that's a fallacy these days. Okay. When you go back to, the time we were hunter-gatherers and stuff, your life depended on how much you could do that. And today it's an artificial value because we think knowledge should grant us privilege. Okay, and it doesn't. The work you do grants you privilege based on what you put into it and what you can produce for somebody else. If you're not producing for somebody else, you still have to look at the entrepreneur way. What I put into this is it directly correlates to what I'm going to get out of it. And people, TikTok, I guess if I could dance, I'd enjoy doing it. But people are making a living standing there entertaining people for 60 seconds at a time, and it's unrealistic. It's not sustainable.
I think there's a huge opportunity for us, Ray, to be old guys and cry and whine about our entire lives on TikTok. Don't you think we'd make some money? Anybody even give a shit?
So I don't think anybody give a shit. I don't think I
if I put some bolt-ons on, would that work?
You might end up being one of these like Twitch just chatting communities where you get guys circle jerking, that are down bad, but it's only going to be like a handful of losers all doing that. So those are the kind of people you will get some followers, you'll get some sympathizers, those crabs in the barrel that want to keep you there and they're happy to stay there as well.
Oh, I will say this: there is When people vent about their problems, they actually feel better. They put them off. You can see this with women. They will vent everything that's ever happened to them in their lives to you, and they feel better while you feel burdened because you had to listen to all this stuff and take it on.
Well, one of the things
some men are doing that today. Yeah.
One of the things I do when I start coaching people, you know, and I'll tell them, I said, I'm going to charge you to coach you, but eventually I want that relationship to go away. Not the relationship that you and I have as, you know, partners, friends, whatever you want to call it. I want to maintain those friendships, but I want you to become a part of. I want you to be a part of my network.
You pay it
I want
forward.
you to be my client for life.
Yes, I say the same thing to my clients. Like I and with most of them, we become good friends afterwards. I want you to become a part of the network. I don't want this type of transactional coach mentee relationship for too long.
Yeah,
So,
I don't want to be
100%.
anybody's guru. That's what I am not your guru. I am here to help you get through whatever you want to get through. But eventually, I just want to be friends.
I agree. I do that too.
And in my group, and you know yourself, Thor, because you have one, I only charge for the group because somebody's got to pay these bills.
You got to pay the server fees. Yeah, exactly.
So guys, we're down here at the halfway mark, and we're gonna give our thanks to the chat here, and we got a couple ads real quick, and then we're gonna come back to Nuke because he arrived late. We need to give him
talk about demons.
So a shout out here, and Nuke is gonna be the first one to talk about what demons we have encountered and how we fought them. So first we got a couple ads here. First of all, Paul's dating course is currently 50% off for the month of May.
We only have 1 week left. This next Friday is the last day to use the 50% off code. So if you've been waiting, what are you waiting for, man? You're gonna miss out.
Guys, check out his dating course right here.
70% of relationships start online nowadays, but you're tired of being stuck in the dating app dead end. Swipe after swipe, and all you get is ghosted or worse, bot matches. The problem isn't you. It's that most dating apps are designed to favor the top 20% of guys. And if your profile isn't up to par, you're just another swipe left. The solution? No cold approach in the cow pasture. While the course may have a funny name, it will show you how to optimize your dating profile. It will show you how to take perfect photos and write bios that get you noticed. You'll also learn how to spot and avoid bots, catfish, and time wasters. I originally designed this course for guys who live in rural flyover country, where the opportunity to meet women organically in person just isn't possible, or your options are severely limited. But this course will work for guys in big cities too. In fact, it'll work better for guys that live in big cities because you have way more options than guys that live out in rural areas. Wherever you are, no cold approach in the cow pasture will help you meet high quality women in your area. It will help you to close for more dates than you ever thought possible. Because not only do I teach you how to optimize your online dating profile on dating apps, the real secret sauce is I show you how to meet women on Facebook and Instagram and how to slide into their DMs using a virtual cold approach method using video messages. Ready to be a part of the top 20%? Don't miss your chance. Visit dates.comeonmanpod.com. That's dates.comeonmanpod.com to sign up now. And for the entire month of May, take 50% off with code MAY50 at checkout.
Masculinity is in crisis. What are we to do? We need to acquire a dominant masculine presence. Now available on Amazon. Masculinity is in crisis. Men's masculine behaviors and traits have been suppressed by popular culture. Why has it become so popular to shame, guilt, insult, masculinity, and masculine behaviors? After 50 to 70 years of this has resulted in a very large subset of men who have become weak, useless, and crisis. Pathetic state for boys and men that leads to depression and violent despair. A dominant masculine presence addresses this very dilemma for the individual man, and it firmly establishes why this is what is desperately needed by the individual man today. In this book, clearly defined masculine traits and behaviors and the emotional durability provided by traditional masculinity are presented as a guide to what every man should embed into his identity. Putting these principles and behaviors into practice will motivate and direct your path step to step to create for yourself an authentic, dominant masculine presence.
So, guys, get Thor's book, Dominant Masculine Presence, available on Amazon and Audible. Of course, the Audible version is narrated by the Rising Tide himself, Thor. And get Paul's dating course, 50% off for the entire rest of the month of May. Don't have much time. You want to get ready for hot dude summer, especially if you're coming out here to Vegas, because you got to compete with me. But anyway, we have a latecomer who is often has quite a bit of wisdom around these kinds of things. And so I want to start. We're going to go around the horn here. And we're going to ask all the guys. But we're going to start with Nuke. Guys, what is an example of a demon? And in case you missed it, Nuke, basically I was having an online discussion where I talked about how increasing my income through my career made me a happier person because it lowered my stress levels because I could, manage my life more effectively. And basically 2 people came in and said, well, when the world ends, it's not going to matter because everything's going to burn down and you're going to die in a bunker and you're going to die of starvation just like the rest of us. So who cares? That's basically what they said, TLDR. So I perceived that as a demonic thought or a demonic mindset coming from another person in an attempt to corrupt me and to drag me into hell psychologically. So, Nuke, what's an example of a demon that you have encountered and dealt with, and what did you do to defeat it?
There's 2 that these affect all men though, but this is how I overcame it. There's 2. There is your ego. That is the number 1 demon that will ruin your life. Your ego is going to cause so much damage in your life with every aspect of your life. And number 2, the need for control, which is probably part of your ego too, right? One of the things that they tell millennials when we were growing up is that we were going to change the world, right? Like we had the answers, we were the solve to all the Earth's problems, right? But then we grew up and then we started. We had to work for this already well-oiled machine that was society, and we were, we thought that we were going to be the leaders of society. In reality, we're just, we needed to work and be valuable and get experience, right? And that's why a lot of millennials are so bitter, because they thought that, hey, my way of thinking is the best way. But we see that that's not the case. Is that it's causing a lot of churn in society right now. So one of the things you have to battle as you're going through life is that, hey, you're not that important, but that's okay. You ain't shit, and that's okay. And a lot of people are like, that's counterintuitive. You got to be confident, and you got to but realize that you thinking that you are more important than you are to people you don't know, or to conventions, or to society, or to corporations, or whatever, is going to cause you lots of pain. Is going to slow you down more than anything in life, right? You need to realize that you're not that important. It's okay for your opinion not to matter to people, because eventually you only should be important to the people you love in your life and personally. But everyone else beyond that, who cares? And that's gonna free you. That's gonna free you, because now you get to answer the most important question of all: what do you want? Right? Your ego and your needs for control is going to stop that in its tracks. It's the most important question every man has to ask himself is, what do you want? Right? But if you're too busy worried about climate change, you're not gonna find out what you want. If you're too busy about making mommy feminism mad, or trying to live up to trad girl 69472 standards, you're never gonna find out what you want, right? You may just want to go live to Latin America and fish all day, and that makes you happy, right? But you'll never find that out if you're constantly ego invested in things like society's problems and things like that. So the most important demon you must fight, if you have it, is your ego. Your ego will stop you from approaching women. Your ego will stop you from working harder. Your ego will stop you from making friends because you think you're either too good for those things, or we humans do this thing where we convince ourselves things we're not good at are not that important anyway, right? So if you're not good at a certain skill, or
math,
or anything, you're like, I don't need math, right? And you may not need math, right? But what if you just didn't have the effort, or you didn't put in the effort?
Your mic cut out.
He got muted.
Your mic cut
I
out.
don't know.
It finally
He
happened.
was on a roll, man.
The Matrix got him. God bless.
That was a really good point that Nuke made, though. I mean, really, your ego and where he was going with that's super important on how you perceive yourself and you move forward. A lot has to do with identity, and if you have let your identity slip and you're not constantly reinforcing and reinventing it, you can slip into sedation, and it can be anything like I am owed the world, or I'm so suppressed. A lot of people take up that victim mentality, and that's really hard too. I kind of lost my train of thought, but I had met a couple last summer that I learned a huge lesson as far as happiness and demons and things like that, fighting demons. I think that ego is a huge demon, but there's a subtle demon out there. When people age, they think, oh, I'm going to reach the finish line. I'm going to retire. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. That's a demon, because most people that do that, they don't. It's not a destination. And a lot of folks end up getting to that time, and their own mentality sets them up for failure and unhappiness. The example that came to mind is I went to this resort to re-socialize Missy, and we met a couple that was just slightly older than us that had retired, and they were high-powered attorneys. And they had been chasing the dream that a lot of folks did here in California. Man, I've made all this money. I've sacrificed my life. I'm going to buy a yacht, and I'm going to sail around the world. I'm going to go to the Caribbean, and I'm going to live my best life on this imaginary yacht with all of these things going on. And they had done that. And we were approaching the 2-year mark, and they had come to this resort to get away from the yacht that they had parked in the Cayman Islands. They had money. They had all the happiness that money can buy. What did they do? They escaped it to go to a lower end resort and meet people like me and Missy, just so they had some enjoyment in life. And they were considering selling their yacht at a loss. And we're talking multi-millions of dollars yacht, and sailing it around the world for 2 years after retirement. And I can remember the guy, he was telling me, a really cool dude. He's like, man, sometimes I just want to go back to work, even if it's just a few days. And yeah, I'm on this yacht, but I get up and then it's just an expanse of ocean. I could take the dinghy into town and walk around. I could do that anywhere, but I can't get much satisfaction. I used to really get some satisfaction about mentoring the young folks coming into the industry and things like that. And he felt a tremendous loss. To me, that's a huge demon that people aren't aware of.
You hear that a lot. That's why suicide of retirees is so high. They're so fucking bored. Sorry. They're so terribly bored. They don't know what to do anymore, and they just off themselves. And that's kind of what they mean with money can't buy happiness, because the happiness stems from productivity. That's what that quote comes from.
Yeah.
Like, you can have all the money in the world, but what are you going to do then? Like, you need to stay productive. And yeah, of course, like, money buys, how do you phrase that? It buys
a boat.
Nah, a boat.
And a truck to pull it.
The Maslow's hierarchy of need. You know, you can fulfill that with money, but what are you going to do after that? That's self-fulfillment. That's where a lot of people miss the mark.
Yeah, it's one of those sneaky demons that sneaks up on you, just like sedation, right? Man, I only need this glass of wine and Xanax for one night. I've had a hard day. I've earned it. Think about those terms. And I've heard gals say that before, and I know guys do too. I've earned it. I worked and I earned this drug.
I've earned this chocolate
these drugs
cake
to sit down and think about nothing.
Those
are some of the sneakiest demons, because they become a thing. Whereas every time I make an accomplishment, I've made it a reward.
I get 1 pint of Ben and Jerry's a week. God damn it.
Could be that too, but you're pretty lean. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it would be a benefit instead of a detriment.
Well, if you do it after a workout, you can really, get those the glycogen back in your muscles.
Oh yeah. It's always after the workout. Workout always comes first. That's kind of how I plant my day where it's like, okay, all the serious stuff happens in the morning first, and after that, when everything is said and done, then we can relax. Otherwise, no, shit needs to happen.
Yeah, the sneaky demons are the ones that take you by surprise, right?
So Viking paradigm, you've got a lot of good stories about overcoming hardships. What about overcoming demons? Do you have any examples for us?
Well, if I'm up next, I was going to say the two demons that I personally have battled, and I try to point out to other people that everybody's battling, is the scarcity mindset demon and the outcome dependence demon.
Ooh.
Wow.
Because those two demons, they play into how your ego works, right? Like Nuke was saying, your ego is going to invest in an outcome. Like people that are obsessed with the outcomes of whatever topic you pick in the mainstream, right? And they're focused, or they're pointing the fingers going like, look at all this, look at all the crazy shit going on. Yeah. And here they are not doing anything about it. They're just pointing at they're pointing at the fire, yelling fire, but they're not actually grabbing a hose, not grabbing a bucket, not trying to do anything, not even trying to remove themselves from the burning building. They're just sitting there yelling fire, right? And that's the demon that's going to get you, is because you're going to be consumed by the blaze, right? And that blaze is coming from your own head. You know, if you look at all the problems we have in today, you can frame it around they either have a scarcity mindset, like, there's not enough money to go around, right? That's why we say the rising tide raises all ship. That's an abundance mindset. That's abundance maxim, right? We're not sitting there trying to backstab each other because we think there isn't enough for everybody. We know if we work hard together, there will be enough for everybody, right? And the same thing with the outcome dependence. Like what is the mainstream like feminist movement, right? They're so focused on an outcome of equality, they've literally advocated for inequality. And now that they've gotten it, they still view that they still need to keep fighting that inequality that's been solved. They no longer have that demon to fight, but they're still fighting. They don't know what they're fighting for anymore. And they just keep fighting, and they have no clue that they've lost the plot, right? And that's the two demons that I've overcome personally, and I still struggle with that. I still battle them, right, where I get outcome dependent, right? I even went on a panel last night with Glenn and a guy named Gird 1, and I had been saying something in chat. I was multitasking, and they said some stuff that set me off. And then they're reading my messages. They're like, yo, that's not what we're saying. You missed some stuff and whatnot. And then they invited me up. And I'm like, okay, cool. I can come up and articulate myself correctly. And rather than being outcome dependent, I had a chat with him. And now I'm friends with that guy, right? Now we had a good talk. And now I'm invited back as well to chat about stuff. So because I overcame that outcome dependence in that moment and put myself out there, I battled that demon and was willing to be wrong to overcome my own arrogance and my egotistical attitude. I'm a stubborn motherfucker. You can't change my mind just because you said so. You got to prove that shit to me. But I try to make sure that I don't get stuck in where I'm constantly like, well, that's not good enough proof, right? And that's where a lot of people get stuck. Oh, my ego's telling me, whispering in my ear, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. You're worth more than that. You're better than that, right? That's that ego tripping you up and that devil in your ear fucking you up.
And it does. That's for sure.
Nuke, welcome back.
Hi.
Did you did you have additional thoughts that before you were cut short?
And to finish the thought, the need for control. Once you let that go as well, you're going to realize how stressed you were before trying to control the universe, right? You see a lot of guys that learn this red pill stuff, and all of a sudden they feel like they can control the universe. Meaning, I'm red pill now. I mean, bitches will respect me, right? Like, or I'll have a perfect outcome with each woman and all that stuff, or anything, right? And then they become evangelists, right? They want to tell their friends, they want to tell their employers or coworkers, like, look at me, I'm so enlightened because I learned this, right? And the reality is, it was never about controlling anyone but yourself. You know, you are in charge of your own happiness. So you have to go out there and figure out first what you want. And number two, go find out how you can get it. And is it reasonable, right? Because everyone wants millions and millions of dollars, but is it reasonable to desire certain things, right? Luckily, as a guy, where most of us are reasonable and understand and all that. But and then trade notes with the guys that already achieved it, right? Don't look up to them. Don't call them your guru, but maybe someone knows something you don't, or someone achieved something that you want to achieve. So you ask them, well, hey, how did you do this? I'm not looking for I'm not a sheep looking for a shepherd. I am a guy looking for tips and or a way forward, a plan, you know. And that's why I ask guys, what's your plan? Or I go online and mess with people and I say, so what's your plan? Hey, we need to stop this. I'm like, okay, cool. You need to stop it. What's your plan? No plan. Because again, that need for control for other people to come save you and do things for you is your demon. You are sitting down, you are raised to be a defective female, told that if you bitch enough, someone else is going to solve your problems. That is not true. You have to solve your own problems that you can. If you can't solve it, then it's not your problem anymore. So yeah.
And that's one of the things that, with the comment that I got in the YouTube chat below that video, was it made me think, like, they wanted to comment, bro thinks he's got a ticket to a bunker, instead of asking, whoa, really? How did you do that? Like, and that's why it comes off as demonic to me, because it's intentional. It's intentional. Like, they want to tear me apart and poison my mind and soul intentionally to take perverse pleasure in watching me.
Who gets to decide that, though? Who gets to decide if you get poisoned or not?
Me.
Yeah, they plant the seeds of doubt. It's up to you whether or not you water and fertilize them.
Right.
Yeah. And part of what makes content creators good is that they pretend that it bothers them, right?
Yeah.
You have to sometimes really play the game a little bit, because that's what people are looking for online. The people that aren't here to get better. They're here to feel something. They're bored. You know, life is boring. It gets strapped. Like you wake up, you go to work, you come back, you go to the gym, and you do that 20 times in a row. You're gonna be like, I'm gonna go piss someone off online or cause a shitstorm or say something stupid online to get someone to notice me, because man, am I bored. Yep. And that's what content creators do. They're like, people are bored, let me entertain them, right? So when doing this online content creator stuff, you have to understand that the 80% are there to fund the top 20%. There's going to be guys that come online, and gals too, just to give you likes, clicks, and views, try to piss you off and say things they don't mean or they don't really understand about your content, because they maybe saw only 10 or 20 seconds of it or 30 seconds or 5 minutes of it. And you have to say, thank you. You are funding the guys that are actually going to use this stuff, and be like, hey, I get what you're saying, Mike. How do I go forward? Let me DM you, right? You want those guys there. You want the haters, because they pay you, whether indirectly or directly, so you can buy better mics and buy more time. You can tell the guys that really need it what it is, right? So this is a good sign. They're not demons. They're angels. They just don't know it, right? So,
well, speaking of funding,
yeah,
we have a super chat here from Mr. Danny Arnold with the $5. Guys, we're doing a super chat here. With the $5 super chat.
Here's a sound drop. Danny Arnold.
Thank you, Danny. Here's to Mike Steele exclaiming, "You dumb bitch! Hoorah!" I felt that as he said it. So here's a little something for the cookie jar. Well, thank you very much for that, and we appreciate that very much, Danny. Hope you're enjoying your weekend.
Yeah, let's fill up that nookie jar. I like that.
Yeah. And real quick, Thor, you mentioned earlier, I don't remember if this was on the pod or not, but you were talking about how you got caught up in the fun of posting on Twitter yourself.
I did.
Or X. And I actually, this is one of those demons, you know, getting down to like, what are the solutions to some of these things? If you find yourself engaging in that sort of behavior that Mike is criticizing, or what the whole episode's about, one of the things that I did when I was finding myself engaging in those sort of back and forth online and typing, I made a resolution to myself. I'm still going to type up the entire message that I'm going to send, right? I'm very articulate and well thought out, and I always try to craft a good text message to deliver a succinct point, right? Well, to break myself of getting in the habit of these endless back and forths that never bear any fruit, I started practicing this methodology where I would do the message, and then instead of sending the message, I would just delete it. So that way I really had to feel how useless it actually was. And I found this is very good at training me. Now when I'm scrolling through Twitter, even if I want to click on something, I'll open up the chat and I'll start to type, and then I'll be like, No, it's a waste of time. I'm not helping anybody by doing this. I'm just engaging in the clickbait that they want you, the engagement bait. That's a big thing that you're seeing on Twitter now. There's all these engagement bait tactics that people are using, and it's great for the algorithm, and people get drawn in by it. Yeah, and it works. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that it's a bad technique.
Mid.
But when it comes to overcoming your own ego and actually having a useful tool to overcome that, that's what I did. I would type up the whole message and take the time, and then I would just fucking delete it rather than sending it, so I don't get that dopamine hit of satisfaction of, oh yeah, I told that motherfucker. I gave him some red pill truth, or whatever the variety is of your own ego investment in that outcome. So I would negate my own ego investment and remind myself that it's a waste of time and I'm not helping anybody.
And that's why, guys, if you real quick, Paul, if you look back at my comment on that YouTube video, notice I did not reply to the two ladies saying demonic things. I only replied to the guy that gave back positive replies. So I replied to him. I'm like, this guy right here, he gets it.
Yep. Let's try this exercise, Mike. Tell them they're right. Tell the guys hating.
That's part of the fun I was having. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the kind of fun I like to have too. I used to be, and a lot of us have been in this space, right? A lot of people want to debate. They're master debaters, right? Everybody's a master debater online. They all want to debate about whatever, and literally you can say black, and they'll go no white, right? And it's so stupid. And nobody's changing each other's minds. It's absolutely pointless. Like what Tarl was saying.
You're stroking the logarithm. That's it.
Yeah. And so what I've learned just over the years of being in the red pill space and sort of watching what other guys do and stuff like that is, you can just egg these people on because they want to do it, right? Like they want to do it. They want to fight. And so usually what they'll do is, and they like to attack, right? They don't. Often they don't make any solid points. They just want to call you names and whatever. So, and always it's, hey, you're bald, right?
Everybody drink.
Everybody drink.
Bald?
So oftentimes, like, they'll say something to me and I'll just reply to it as a question. I'm bald, right? And then that prompts them to reply more, right? And so if it's on your post, you can get people replying indefinitely by just asking questions like that.
That's how I paid my groceries this month. I paid my groceries
just that's doing funny.
This. Yeah.
I hate women. I'm a misogynist.
or just tell them they're right. Like, oh, what was I thinking after like 60? Because I have 4 arguments going on between people in my threads, and they're paying my groceries. I made like $500 on Twitter last.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then this month they're gonna pay for Tadashi. I'm gonna give Tadashi a whole bunch of treats and stuff, and all that stuff. But the way it goes, guys, is that once you overcome the need to be right, the need for control, and all these things, you get to have fun. Life becomes more fun. You get these people that are still stuck in the I need to be right. I need my ideology to be number one, my religion, my this. I'm like, listen, man, you could be Muslim and I could be Christian or whatever. And I'll be like, dude, I get it, you're Muslim, but like, let's talk about something else. Like, what video games are you playing right now? Like, what shows are you watching? Like, what do you have? Like, where do you live? Tell me about your culture. Because at the end of the day, I understand that people have their differences, right? And trying to get everyone on my train of thought is exhausting. Like, I get tired. So when people come to argue, just say, hey, you know what? You're right. What was I thinking? And then they'll go home and they'll be like, I proved that guy on the internet wrong. I'm so fulfilled at life. And you're just like, well, you've been arguing with other people for 3 days and I made $40 because of that. Thank you. And now I'm going to go out salsa dancing and use that money to go talk to women or something. But it's just, you got to mastermind life. And part of it's kind of Machiavellian, right? Doesn't sound morally right. But realize that these guys will never improve. These people will always want to bring other people down. Why not make them pay you for it?
They're going to argue with somebody. Might as well argue with you and you get paid.
Stuck on checkers.
Yeah.
Everybody's stuck on checkers and Nuke's playing 3D chess.
It's what you got to do. Like I build a following, and now I got a funnel to my YouTube channel, which also pays me. And it's just like, why not use the bottom 80% of people to pay for the top 20 that want to improve their lives or want to trade notes or teach me
exactly
something?
What the Illuminati have been doing for centuries.
Yeah,
I guess that's what Myron does. He tells the guys all the time, we argue with the girls so you don't have to. I've been in the studio plenty of times, and Thor, you might have seen this yourself, right?
Yeah.
When one of the girls after the show's over at the after hours wants to argue with him afterwards, what does he do? Show's over, go talk to Mo.
Exactly.
Yeah, you already paid. You already paid me. Thanks, I'm paid. Like the business deal's over. I have nothing else to offer you. And then the other thing about this stuff too is that they're gonna say things that piss you off, and that's okay. It's okay to be pissed off. Like people say dumb things, but over time, what's really gonna piss you off? How absolutely stupid people are, even if they're right. You're gonna have people that agree with you, and you're gonna be like, you said that, but you don't understand it. Like, for example, she's not yours, it's just your turn, right? That phrase that everyone's like, oh, but people say that out of like from an emotional place. Like, women are all going to leave me no matter what I do. And I'm like, and I told them, like, no, I know where that's coming from. That's coming from a place of despair and hopelessness. I say it from a place of reality. Women are not property. They can come and go as they please. We don't control them. There's no consequences if they leave. But since I made peace with that, now I enjoy women more because I know that at any moment they can leave, and they're here because they want to be. So even if people agree with you, be careful, because sometimes it comes from a different place, a hateful hopelessness that you don't want to be a part of either. So,
yep, I call those guys the red pill masturbators.
Yeah, the black pill.
I think Ryan Stone actually breaks down Muse Mastery very well on how to deal with demons, especially on the social media, with everything that's not under your control. You either find it interesting, amusing, or just rub it off. That's part of the Muse Mastery thing. So like I've noticed that in my beginning on X, starting to get followers, I started doing what Carl was saying with route the post and then delete it. I feel better, but most of the time I just sit there and like read the little things and just chuckle. It's like, man, that's fucking dumb. Okay, whatever.
Yep,
Not even
that's where I'm
respond.
at. And just keep scrolling.
Sometimes if it's a sick burn, I respect it. I'm like, ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one yet. That was a good one.
Like, have you ever been with your friends and you're roasting each other, and one of your friends says something really good, and you're just like, damn, dude, that was really good. Like, fuck. You have to give it to them. You're just like, you know what, you win, bro. I got nothing. Same thing with life, and and the thing is with the Muse Mastery, like AJ was saying, for example, look at the rad femmes. They think they hate men, right? They're like, men suck, blah blah blah. They're terrible. They need to be caged and put away in cages, and we have to use them for their labor and all that stuff. But I promise you that those rad femmes, they hold open doors for men. They have manners in public. They tip men that are working like in restaurants and stuff like that. They call their dad. It's just like they're pretending to be something online that they're not, which is a super alpha feminist man hater. But in real life, they have to interface because 50% of the population is men. So at some point in their life, they're going to have to interact with men, ride in an Uber with a man. They're going to have to say yes, sir, to a man of authority. And it's just thing, as long as you have that in your mind, that these people with their huge like online presence, they're secret kings, thinking that when they come online, it's their rules, and they live the world. They see the world through this fake alpha masculinity. Everything is according to me. When in reality, it's like, hey, I have to go to the gym. I can't just charm my way into a woman's pants only. I have to also improve. Also, there's men that are blue pill that are my boss, and I have to listen to them and say, hey, yes, boss, I'll do this. Like obviously not like that, but because we live in reality, and part of the reality is you have to acquiesce to the laws of physics. And laws of physics say that because Mike Steele says I did this, doesn't mean that it's going to be the end of the world in 5 or 10 years or 1 year, where he's not going to have the opportunity to have a bunker. Like, what does that even mean anyway? So, yeah.
Yep. Nuke playing 3D chess again. Hey, I would throw out a demon out there that I bet you most of us might recognize and might not. That's probably one that does far more harm than good. And I bet you Wraith will probably, well, I think he would agree with me, is I came from a time where people had to communicate verbally or in person. There was no text. There was regular snail mail, which forced you to be very, very conservative in how you approached a conversation because it was going to be drug out over time. And when I was growing up, I was taught, to be polite in a conversation, always appreciate what the other person is saying because they're coming from a different viewpoint. All of the emotion and the energy, definitely people have energy. Paul knows a lot about this, and they have a presence about them. That's all deleted when you use text. All of these social media things until recently didn't have the video component, and they just had the text component, 140 characters or whatever. It never conveyed emotion, and it was very dry. And I think that demon's very addictive, just to say little verbs all the time and then fill in the blanks with your mind. I've seen text be interpreted in such a way. This is a good person interpreting text that is no way I could ever think that that would be true or be what the intent of the person that texted thought. But they got so upset about the text, and then come to find out it was exactly like I said. It's just misinterpreted. I find text to be a demon that we can rely on. We just want to send a blurb. And even in this space, we've told guys when they're dating, use the text just for logistics, right? Use it for logistics and or to deliver actionable information like, Nuke, here's a website, man. Go check it out. You might want to do content. That would be it. If I want to talk to Nuke, I'm dialing it up. Nuke, we got some shit to talk about. Let's talk about it. I think one of the demons is we're over-reliant on text, and it misses a whole lot of what communication can be and
Tone,
makes it
stuff like that.
inherently more combative because we have to draw conclusions on what the person is actually trying to convey. A lot of people disagree and say, well, the words are right there. Yeah, but there's a lot of meaning and adjectives and things like that that go with what they're trying to tell you. Do you guys agree or disagree? What do you think, Wraith?
Agree.
Texting's been a bane for me.
Yeah, it is, and it also creates other issues where people don't accept responsibility for what they're communicating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, that's not what I meant, or if it is what they meant, they still don't accept responsibility for it.
Gives you an easy out, yeah.
You know, so, and I think, you know, when you were talking about when you have a conversation of, you know, in person or even via video or over the phone, at least in voice inflections, you can tell, you know, basically whether a person's irritated or telling you the truth, because there's certain key vocal things that happen when you lie.
Yeah.
So, but like I say, it's just a lack of responsibility. My kids text and I say, call me.
Yep.
You know, because I don't want to text them. You know?
Yep. I do think that's a demon that invades all. We're all affected by, and it can really cause stress between relationships. Like you said, voice inflections, body language, sub-communication is pretty much nil when it comes to texting. Do you guys agree or disagree? Have you experienced that?
I
agree.
I agree and disagree.
Okay.
I think I prefer texting when it comes to just your average everyday logistic type thing. You
Yeah,
know?
I agree.
Like don't fucking call me. Like I got shit going on and you're interrupting my day when you're calling me, right? But so a text is better. Next best would be a voice message, right? So like if instead of sending me a word wall, send me a voice message. You can send that over text. But if there's something that really needs to be discussed, right? We had one of the beer club brothers going through some shit with his girl, and she's sending him word walls of text, right? And I said, hey, don't reply to that. Don't reply to that. Just I was like, wait a couple hours, you know, and then reply back like, hey, this is a pretty deep conversation. We're seeing each other on Friday. Let's talk about it when we see each other, right? And so he does, and she's like, I prefer to talk over text. And she says like this long ass word wall. I'm like, don't reply to that. She says another bombards him, just keeps bombarding him. So of course it's just hitting his you know, emotional resolve where he's like, I feel like I gotta say something, and I'm like, just fucking stop, dude. You're gonna talk about this in person. The problem with going back and forth with text like that is you misconstrue what the other person's saying. You can't read the tone, and you'll take things out of context that's not what the other person meant. That kind of stuff is important to discuss in person, or even a phone call if you have to settle it right there. A phone call is better for stuff like that.
Now we got video chat. Paul, I like how you describe that, because I do see that as a demon that invades all of us, and we want to get sucked up into that, you know.
Yeah. Well, and guys get sucked into that, you know, where he had the need to reply. But the thing is that that's pouring gas on an open flame, right?
Yeah.
So it's just going to make, you know, that's what I tell guys all the time. Like, they want to give like even short responses. It's like any response is a bad response. You're still pouring gas on the fire. She clearly, in that example, she's in her emotions. She's throwing walls and walls of text because she's wanting to express them, and she's shit testing him more or less to see if he's actually going to give in. It's a submission exercise, more or less, mentally.
It
right?
is. And in this sort of situation, it's just like in sales, right? Like the first person to talk loses. So I'm like, look, you put this this thing out there. Now shut the fuck up. Now shut the fuck up. And it's the first person that talks loses. And of course she starts sending word wall text. I'm like, she just talked. She's losing right now. She doesn't even realize it. Just chill. Just take a step back, man.
Yep.
And that doesn't only work for women. That works everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it works with dealing with guys too. When we get our emotions, and going back to what you said, Thor, that was the example I gave before. I got in my feelings listening to the Glenn being on Grid One's show, and I said some things real quick in text, and I would say that it's the right tool for the right job. Texting is good for simplistic logistical communication. When it comes to trying to convey complex thoughts, unless the other person understands each word implicitly that you're using, then you're going to lose things in translation. People aren't going to understand what you meant, even if you were very precise and concise with what you said. So that's where you want that face-to-face communication so you can read the subtext, you know? And like I said, or actually like what Thor said, is that, a lot of people won't own that, right? The first thing I did when I got pulled up on the panel is I apologized for going off in text and not being very articulate, and thanked them for the opportunity to be able to speak in voice and be able to be on the show so we could talk more or less face to face through the internet. And owned my own shortcoming where I got emotionally dependent. Like, hey, I wanted this outcome where them to hear my point, and I was picking apart some of the shit they were saying about the red pill, lumping it in with some blue pill BS, right? That set me off. I get set off by that stuff. I'm very passionate about this because I used to be a victim of that mindset.
And we got a history, so we've known each other for years. So
I do want to bring up one point though, and CW here exactly. So when I text, that's why I use emojis to help with the context.
Sure.
You can use emojis to create the emotion that you want to have the other person feel. So it's a yes and no. Like when Paul said originally, it's a yes and no that it's a demon, bad form of communication, whatever. Yes, you can't necessarily express things the 100% the right way that you could.
Can't you guide them though? I mean, Huds, this is your area of expertise. You're excellent at texting, but you don't write word walls.
Well, I write word walls when I'm like communicating other stuff. Like I know in our chat, I'll drop.
It's a little different because we're working, but I mean,
there's context there, right? That's the thing is, like I said, right tool for the right job. So the same thing as understanding the person you're talking to understands the words that you're expressing. Same thing with the emojis. That other person on the other end of the communication needs to be able to understand like the true meaning of that emotion, because that stuff can still get lost in translation, right?
Okay,
just like
so Tarl, hold on, Tarl. Let me ask you a question. What does the eggplant emoji mean?
For most people, it's a penis.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like you can use certain emojis knowing that the other person will understand them to elicit an exact.
Oh, that's why you sent that to me last night. I get it.
But see, here's some nuance there, right? If you try to, say, give the kidding face, right, where you say some shit seriously, but then give a goofy face, you can do that with emoticons or emojis, right, and do a laughing, crying face or something like that. But sometimes they might just think you're doubling down and twisting the knife, right? So certain times it can be still taken out of context. It also depends on their negative bias, right? Because it could be a double entendre and be taken both ways, and they're going to take it the wrong way. You may not have meant it to be a double entendre. And that's where some people can get caught up in it. And once again, like I said, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying be mindful that if you do it, then you could have consequences that you may not have foreseen. Same thing with communication.
Hold on, I just thought about this, and I think this is actually a really interesting thought. So texting is like a black and white picture. Texting with emojis is like a colored painting. Doing a video chat or something like that is more like a movie in and of itself. And then the actual like in person, it's like different layers. You're adding more color and flavor to it.
You guys want to know what texting is best for? Ready? You guys ready for this? Manufacturing drama.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Oh my God, I love it.
Emojis always work.
Because that's why women love it. That's why she's doing it. That paragraph is manufacturing drama, right?
Yeah.
And if you have some game, you can do this. Like, you know how we're saying it could be taken out of context. It could be, women can people in general can misinterpret. Now you can use that in your favor, right? Let's mastermind this. Hey, I haven't been liking your attitude lately. Or, hey, I don't think I really like you that much, or something like that. And, she knows that you love her, but, you throw a little drama, however you want to do that. Guess what? now that you use the inability for text to convey 100% what you're trying to say, and she's taking that, and it's a little bit of drama that she needs to keep the relationship a little spicy and fun, at least in the beginning, right? You know, then other things take over. And now you've used a tool. Now it's a problem has become a tool in your toolbox to keep, you know, the women you're trying to gamer in your life happy. So, you know, there's always silver lining to anything. So that, yeah, there's a little tip for you.
No, hey, I think that's a great idea. Just sparked an idea on mine with the audience and you guys too. I want to throw this out there. It's my favorite emojis, and it seems to work really well. But I want to see if we can field test it. So anytime you're talking to a
milk
girl,
bottles,
it's the open, sexy mouth followed by milk, taco, donut, smiley face. Always works, guys. Close all your texts when you're texting a woman with milk, taco, donut, smiley face.
I only use.
And let me know how it works.
I only use 3 texts. The thumbs up, the OK symbol, and the middle finger. That's the only 3 I use.
The middle
finger.
I thought they were complimenting with "I'm number 1." Doggone, I misread
Oh yeah,
the
that's what I
emoji.
thought. Yeah.
Dang.
Speaking
but
of emojis,
middle finger is very effective for causing manufactured drama. Send it to a girl you're talking to right now, and you'll have her. She'll respond to you immediately because you know that's just middle finger's powerful.
Taco donut.
Yeah. milk taco.
3 dots works very well at the end of a text as well.
Oh yeah,
It's like you just
for manufacturing drama because it puts.
Oh
it
yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah. You just like say something like what Nuke said with like, "Hey, I don't like you right now," and then you put like 3 dots after it and just leave it there. Or I'm not gonna read all that. ... Oh, it's fun as hell.
Did you guys see my lecture on emotional spiking? I mean, you could definitely use text for that. Boy, women really get fallen. Of course, it's a demon. You're using the demon to do your dirty work for you.
Yeah, and it could be. It's not exactly dirty work. It's you're trying to keep your relationship fun and you love her. So, but she's a woman. She needs drama, you know?
3D chess. There's Nuke again, master.
Controlled fire. Which you want a wildfire or controlled fire, you know?
Yes.
So we got a $5 super chat here from Danny Arnold. Give us that sound drop there, Thor, sir.
I can do it.
Yeah. Thank you, Danny Arnold. Let them play checkers while you play with double D chests.
One of my favorite demons is double D's.
Yeah. Double demons. And they are too. I'm totally distracted when that happens.
And $2 super chat from Rusty Fuel. Walk away from the word wall. It just dump her. Do you mean like I'll just dump her or it will dump her? Maybe you can clarify in the chat with your follow-up.
Yeah, no. Trust me. You send the open, sexy lips and milk, taco, donut, smiley face. Works every time. That's how you respond to a word
eggplant
wall.
raindrop.
That's how you work. That's how you respond to a word wall.
60% of the time, it works every time.
What if you get a word
every time?
Yet, right?
What if
Because
you get
the eggplant with the water drips is really obvious, it's like a dick pic.
Yeah.
But when you send milk, taco, donut, they're not quite sure if you're inviting them to have coffee and a donut or what.
Yeah. Don't send it to your homies. They might come over.
Yeah, don't do that. Taco night. Here we go.
Well, and I have to give some pushback on that super chat a little bit because he goes from one extreme to another.
Yeah.
Right. Oh well, if she sends you a word wall, just dump her. Like I hear guys say that's like the red pill meathead axioms and shit like that.
Just next her, bro.
The thing is that what is the context around that? We got to expand that.
Yeah, exactly.
The context is like maybe she's just in her feelings about something. Maybe she just needed to vent. And once again, that submission exercise, that shit test, seeing if you're going to get emotional when she gets emotional. Right?
Clarifying
you
his
go
typo
to
here.
rebait the bear trap, right?
The thing is that if you pass the shit test, why are you going to dump her? Because she might come back and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I went off on you. You should have just talked. I calmed down, and I'm sorry, babe."
Well, I think what he's saying is like, walk away from the word wall, let her like get her feelings out and do her internal like thought processes, or just dump her. Do you want to deal with that? So he's saying these are your 2 options: either walk away from the problem, or if you're willing to like deal with it, just ignore it for a while until she comes back around. That's kind of what he's saying.
So
okay. Makes more sense, but once again, illustrating the point of not being able to communicate fully through text.
You guys limit your text when you're texting girls, and
yes,
and
I do.
How about during business relationships? You guys limit it there too?
Only to pertinent information.
Okay.
I've really broken my addiction to texting. I think that was really what everybody's problem is
That's the
nowadays. It's a goddamn addiction to texting. Addiction to texting. It's a dopamine hit. People will want to text you all day long. Girls want to text you all day long. That's why a lot of guys, when we're like, hey, look, keep text to logistics only when you're dating. Guys are like, but she's going to forget about me. Dude, women aren't retarded, okay? They will not forget about you in 2 days, all right? Give her some space to miss you and wonder about you and stuff like that. And then I get guys that say, well, when can I start texting when we're in a relationship? Can I text her all day then? No. She's got to know that you are a man on purpose. A guy who's on purpose doesn't have time to text all day. So if you have time to text all day, you're a loser, basically.
Yeah.
So I, from the beginning, like with Nurse Chick, I didn't text her. I don't send the good morning text, good night text. I don't do that shit. And then she likes to do that stuff, so she'll send them to me periodically. But like I'm not always sending that kind of stuff. We typically we could go like 2 days and stuff without getting a text, and then she'll finally reach out or something like that. But like I completely forget about it. I don't text. I think the only time you'll see me text is probably in beer club the most, and that's because guys are paying me and I'm running a chat. So
yeah, and I didn't misread. He doubles down. It means she's out of control, not worth the effort. But see, that's the thing. Every woman gets out of control if you're in a relationship long enough. She's always going to have those emotional spikes, those moments, and they usually happen about once a month.
Yeah,
right?
Rusty,
If you know, you know.
Rusty,
for you to put the guide rails back up.
Rusty, try this out. Instead of just dumping every chick that sends you word walls, try spanking her.
Oh, that's
there you go.
That's actually quite good.
Yep.
Try that out. Maybe try that out.
You're gonna get more of those.
Also, with like the word walls, I find if you respond, I ain't reading all that, and just leave it at that, give it a couple days, they usually come around acting all nice and happy again.
Or just listen to her.
It'll be even less if you say milk taco.
Listen to her?
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Say, hey, we'll talk about it when I get home. And then you just sit down and say, what's on your mind? Usually women, it's not that they have the problem. It's just that they want to talk. That's how they bond. That's how women are. Men, we're different. We like to fix the problem. Just let them talk.
She doesn't want to solve the problem. She just wants you to listen.
How many times have you guys talked to a woman and just let her talk, and all of a sudden she feels better, and it's like nothing happened? It's because she just wants to talk.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Nick is playing 3D chess again. I mean, you are carrying the flag for the Dragonship. That's so true.
Yeah, you can't leave your wife who has your 2 kids, who's been doing a good job, because she gives you a wall of text. Something's wrong.
She needs to vent sometimes.
Yeah, and don't solve her problems. Just listen to her and be like, wow, that's crazy. So how did that make you feel? And then within 10 minutes, she's back to normal, back to like nothing ever happened. That's women, guys. That's just women. You can't, that's who they are,
Yeah, and it doesn't drag you down, Nuke. I mean, a lot of guys take it as, it drags me down if I have to put up with that. I have to throw this back out and that. It's like, dude,
it's the cost for women.
Like
yourself.
Love women, sacrificing your pawns, man. Don't do that.
Well, when my girl comes to me when she's emotional like that, I'll just tell her something like, does this need addressing right now? I'm in the middle of something. If it's important, we can talk about it now. If it's something you just want to talk about, we can talk later when I'm done.
Yeah,
well, I think it goes to the fact that it's what value do you place on what she brings into your life? I mean, if it's a hit and get,
yeah.
Hit and get, quote.
Yeah. Right. The other thing is if this is a woman that you're investing in, and you're investing in her because you think she has some value, then I mean you just don't walk away from everyone that has value to. I mean, it'd be the same thing if it was a male best friend. Oh, you sent me a wall of text. Fuck that. I'm not going to deal with that. Yeah. It's a mindset on what you think the value of a woman in your life is. If it's a hit and get, then that's fine. But ultimately, I think everyone wants to be in some kind of relationship, whether it's friends with benefit or something, so that there's something there. But you can't live to be our age, my age, and not be wanting some type of regular companionship. Doesn't necessarily mean you got to be married or anything like that, but you want some kind of regular relationship.
Sure. That added value is really important too. I mean, that's one of the ones I stress and really go into detail on my principles of LTR is recognizing value. Everybody has a value. They have human value, but the values that line up with your values and what you actually appreciate. And most people don't even take the time to think about what that is. And when you realize the value that someone brings, boy, it changes everything. And for the better, things become much more effortless when you know the actual values that someone's bringing. And then when they have a blow up, it's a lot easier to deal with. You don't sacrifice everything, throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah, it's something interesting too, Thor, about communication, subtext, and how women communicate and how they have to communicate because they have women. Remember when women talk to you like online, they feel like they are a representative of all women. Guys, on the other hand, we're just representing ourselves. Like when women say "I feel," she's trying to say that all the women all the women feel the same way. So respect our opinion, even though that's not true. For example, in terms of like what you bring to the table, like you were talking about, Thor. There's this woman recently that made one of these viral TikToks that said, what do you bring to the table? And then she shows my degrees, my this, like all these things that guys really don't care about. But if you're smart enough as a guy and you look hard enough, you'll see that she is bringing things to the table. She just doesn't know it, and she thinks it's a degree. First thing she brought to the table, she was sexually attractive and thin. Yep. Guess what? That's bringing value to the table. That means that you are hot. Meaning that this is going to make the relationship much easier because I'm sexually attracted to you. And also, not only that, you're not dressed like a hoe. You're dressed, like a normal girl, like a t-shirt, jeans, and a TikTok. Meaning that you're not you're showing yourself to the world as not a slut, right? So women will say these things through text of everything they want, but they don't know that they are already doing things. They just don't know it yet. And we have to be a little bit patient with women sometimes because they'll send us that paragraph of text, right? But deep down, she doesn't know why she's doing it. A lot of women do have no idea why they're so emotional. But if you can be that guy that just says, hey, let's talk about when we get home or when I'm not busy, and just listen for 10 minutes, she'll be like, I don't know myself as much as I thought, but he does. And I feel safe with this guy because
that's really true.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest principles in successful long-term relationships is that right there.
Deciphering what she's really trying to get from you. And a lot of guys will misinterpret it as like, she just wants to ruin your life. I'm like, no, dude, she's having an emotional episode. She's, she's confused. She needs an outlet, and you know that she needs an outlet. So let's solve this problem by just listening and then move on with her lives.
Yeah. And if you don't want to be that outlet, don't be with that girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a time to do what he said and just walk away, right? If like she's not calming down and she's just like goes back to sending walls and walls of text every time you end up interacting with her, then yeah, that's a girl you definitely want to next, right? You got to have the power to walk away. But once again, don't jump the gun. Just because a woman goes off once on you or does it occasionally, that's normal. Right. The thing about LTR is that the shit tests are going to get more frequent or less frequent depending on how well you're performing as a man. Right. And that includes all areas like how you react to her or whether or not you choose not to react to her. Right. The biggest problem that most guys have is that they react, and not only that, they overreact. And that doesn't work for a long-term relationship. You're going to burn every fucking time if you do that.
Yeah, you're going to rev her up even more. And then oh man.
So I just did a stream on this yesterday. Shit tests never stop. They never stop. They just change. Like if you get into a long-term relationship where you're actually living with a woman, the shit tests just are different, right? So like
comfort tests. Yep.
Right. Your girl might all of a sudden just one day out of the blue go, yeah, I think we should get a loan and change all the cupboards here in the kitchen. I want to remodel the kitchen. And it's a perfectly good fucking kitchen, right? And so you just like that kind of shit test, you're just like, honey, no, we're not going to do that. And she might kick and scream and cry and complain and stuff like that. She doesn't want to win. Like these chicks don't want to win. They just want the drama. And so you just got to go, you know what, honey, I appreciate where you're coming from, but we're not doing that. And slap her on the ass, right? Like, you just gotta, you can't take some of this stuff so seriously. I think, like, Rusty, I thought it was funny, he put in the chat there, he's like, don't marry the word wall. Well, I'm not marrying anybody, so joke's on you, pal. But yeah, I mean, shit tests never stop. They just change, and you just got to learn how to handle them and handle them right, and sort of look at them like they're funny and welcome them. Because another thing I was talking about on the show is that, you know, women are frame weights, is what I said. Women are frame weights. Nothing tests a man's frame like women and interacting with women.
Good one.
It's like you go to the gym and you're lifting heavier and heavier weights because you're trying to build more muscle. Well, you'll never build stronger, more solid frame unless you're dealing with women and their bullshit, you know? And so, like, you need to welcome that stuff. Look at it like it's the gym. It's frame weights, you know? Y'all are looking at it all wrong.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If this happens a second time, then you've already lost.
I like Rusty's comment here with the super chat. It's true. And I had been with somebody for a while when I was more naive and when I was younger, where I allowed these types of things to go on. We were even dating during like the COVID times. So in lockup, I didn't even want to talk to her because she was pissing me off so much. And I would entertain this. I'd get the walls of text and then I would rev it up, and then it was back and forth, and it didn't get anywhere, and it was just constant. So I think that with what Rusty's saying here, if you're with an adult, she should be able to discuss serious issues on the phone or in person, never text. She can bring up that she's feeling a certain way over text, but don't entertain it through text. You need go ahead.
Let me give Rusty Fuel a little bit of this for that super chat. Good response. We appreciate everybody. There you go.
Huds, you know what the word that's pulling the most weight, or is the strongest word that's in that sentence? Serious. So are women's emotions serious to them?
Always.
All of them.
Again, women's emotions are very, very important. We as men don't understand it because we're just like, what needs to get done? What is this problem? For them, the fact that their coworker didn't talk to them today is a high level threat, like a Marvel Avengers level threat for them.
Yes.
We have to, as men, we understand that, hey, it's not important. In the big scan of in reality, it's not important. The universe doesn't care about this stupid little thing you have with your coworker. But to her, it's extremely important. So serious is different for us and different for them, right? I don't want to call you on the phone and talk about your coworker not talking to you today or something. However, if you need 10 minutes to sit in front of me, get teary and cry, and that's going to make you feel better, and I have the time to spare, then I can do that, right? There is a context, meaning like if it's a day where I'm just like I'm slammed or I'm out of town or I'm doing something important, I can be like, hey, can we wait 2 days, or like, is this that important? But for the most part, serious for women means different. It's something different than serious for men, and I think that's that word that we have to really pay attention to.
That's a great distinction. 100%.
Yeah, in the moment, their emotions are what matters the most. That's the thing that most guys struggle with, you know. And I've said this all the time when I coach guys is like, you know, like Paul said, right? The shit tests never stop. They just get less frequent and they get switched up, right? And that's the thing, because it's always, if you address one, then she's going to shift over to something else when she gets in her feelings about something. That's also why a lot of the red pill advice says that you got to control the fire. Right? You got to be the one to spark those moments of righteous indignation in her where you don't care about the outcome, and then you can just let it go. Right? And that way she won't bring other bullshit to you that you might actually care about and get overly invested in without thinking about it. Right? And that's you having that frame control, lifting the weights mentally and getting better. Right? Because it's not when you give the pushback, you got to remember this maxim from Yuri Bezmenov, the guy that outed the KGB for creating wokeism. Is that the pushback validates the argument. So when you see all these people on the right pushing against the left and they're doing it just by doing the same techniques, they are just two fires fighting fire with fire. They're not fighting fires with fire strategically, where they do a controlled fire to cut off the fuel source. They're just adding another fire, like, oh, we're going to create our own fire and then we're going to just burn everything as well. And all that ends up at the end of the day is both sides are left decimated in a fire. Right? There's no control. There's no saving anything. And that's where a lot of guys get tripped up, is that they think they have to respond. Right? That's why I tell guys when I'm coaching, I'm like, shut the fuck up game is really big. Same thing I was talking about not sending those text messages online. Right? When I know it's just going to be an endless waste of time. it doesn't, it might make me feel better in the moment, but it literally is wasting my life away. And having that context of self-control and responding how I should respond to get the best outcome, that's why I have the question, do you want to be right or do you want to win? Most motherfuckers want to be right even if they're wrong. I used to be one of those motherfuckers, and that's why I chose to be wrong, because nobody's perfect and I can't be right all the fucking time. If I think I'm right all the time, if you think you're right all the time, you're wrong somewhere and you don't know where. You got to wonder about that.
I like that comment you made about the controlled fire, because when I found out that they actually like fight fire with fire and it actually makes sense, the controlled burn that you're saying, that's really how you need to look at it.
Yeah,
So I thought that was a perfect analogy.
Send her a middle finger emoji. Like when things are really nice and calm in your relationship, send her a middle finger emoji and don't answer till you get back from work. And
I love the emotional spiking.
yeah,
And one of the things you could do is guys will mess up. I know we're off on somewhat of a tangent, but I find that if you, even with the guys that I mentor, that if you hold your ground, sometimes in this space, we tell guys always be able to walk away, shut it down, and we go overboard with that. Sometimes all you have to do is acknowledge that her emotion is important to her. That's it. Think about that. Sometimes you just acknowledge that it's important to her, and that'll change your response. And if she's valuable to you, meaning she gives value to your life and elevates your position in some way, acknowledging that that emotion is important to her. I mean, you don't have a room full of buddies or a room full of red pill guys going, no, don't do that, don't do that, do this. You know, you'll see that it buys you a lot of goodwill in the future if you can acknowledge your emotions important at the right time.
Like the example that I gave, when my girl comes to me with something out of the blue and I'm in the middle of something, I just ask her how important it is. Right. Because that does a couple of things. It reshifts her focus out of her feelings for a second. So she has to actually articulate herself. And then she actually has to think for a second. And if she's really in her emotions where she's not even willing to articulate that, then I know that I should just ignore her completely in that moment. I'll tell her, go away. And if she doesn't go away, I'll fucking leave. Right. Those are the extreme ends of it. But like Thor said, most of the time, you just have to acknowledge her emotion so that way she knows that you give a shit. You don't have to respond to actually give a shit. You just have to acknowledge to give a shit. And that's a context nuanced difference there that a lot of guys in LTRs, they don't realize, they don't get, and they end up getting more and more. So every shit test you fail leads to another shit test very soon. And they get so frequent, that's when you end up in these marriages with irreconcilable differences, because the dude just failed like 1,000 shit tests in a row, and his bitch is fed up with him now. And he turned her into that monster by not responding correctly.
Yeah, you cannot logic your way into pussy.
Exactly.
You will never logic your way into pussy. That's just not how it works. So
unless you're an obstetrician, right?
Yeah.
Gynecologist.
Yeah, and even then, you probably have to talk her down a little bit. Like, is this your first time, ma'am?
Exactly. Oh, you have to have a witness to make sure it's all good.
Yeah, you
but
can't.
these are some of those demons as men that we need to fight.
Yeah.
Right. To maintain that self-control. You know, we say it all the time. Control the controllables. You're the number one controllable. And that's where a lot of guys fail. It comes back to enlightened self-interest. How does this affect me? And then how does it affect others? Right. In that moment with my girl, right, in those moments, I'm practicing enlightened self-interest. I'm asking myself, okay, how does this affect me? And then how does it affect her? And then I play into what she's trying to do and figure out how to redirect her in order to work best for me so she can add that value. And that's another thing I tell guys. A lot of guys get hung up on confronting a girl or just completely avoiding, right? But they don't understand the middle ground is don't confront, redirect.
Yeah.
Good point.
Wow, what a fantastic show today. This
We have lots of demons, Mike, that we could go on forever, but we should probably wrap, and it's all in your court. Yep.
Well, thank you very much. Guys, we're going to go, got an exit ad here at the end of the day, but first we need to go around the horn. And for final thoughts and a little housekeeping, see what the guys are up to. Any last words, Wraith, on demons and defeating them?
No, not really. If you want to get a hold of me, Wraith Detour, Yahoo, Wraith _ Detour, Yahoo, X, Telegram, and Instagram.
Thank you very much, sir. The wise dwarven pack leader of the Dragonship. You remind me, sir. You remind me of Balin in The Hobbit. He was my favorite dwarf.
Are you calling Wraith short? Like, what's going on?
No,
I was gonna say,
I'm calling him.
Aren't you like 6 foot? At least.
No, it's his beard. It's the beard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nuke. Final thoughts. Where can people find you?
Final thoughts. Thor, I need your help with my final thoughts today. When you woke up from your surgery, Thor, what was the first thing you noticed?
I wanted to go and vote for Joe Biden. They took half my brain out.
What was the first physical thing you saw when you woke up? What was it? A pair of something? What was it?
Oh man, the only thing I could see, because it had limited my vision, a beautiful pair of tits, man. It's the only thing I could see.
Speaking of demons, guys, you will always be attracted to women. You will always be attracted to, even if you're waking up from surgery, even if you're
those are angels.
Yeah, and yeah, but your need to talk and to like enjoy women, it's a demon. It's just gonna make you either do stupid things or make you work hard or whatever, right? So understand that in order for you to enjoy women the right way and all that stuff, you have to control this demon that is your sex drive and be smart about it. Don't be stupid. And that's all I have, guys. I'll put the link tree in the chat.
So true, Nuke.
Awesome.
Glad you're here. Thanks, buddy.
AJ in the command center. Final thoughts. Where can people find you?
Demons, I think we hit it very well as far as like just dealing with it in general. I could go into some horror stories about my past with cluster bees because those are their own demons. But that's for a whole other episode right there. Where you can find me, Monday night, I will finally do my review of Frame. I'm going to be doing some work on Monday, get my channel up to snuff a little bit, and then Wednesday night on Masculine Geek, join both Thor and myself